Hello traders and welcome to another video. So in this video I'll be expanding on what I taught you guys on the last video or the previous video that I did, where I was actually talking about how to actually buy low and how to sell high, right? So in that video I covered how you actually look at the weekly open as well as the daily open. I'm talking about the candles for you to be able to identify whether you're buying low or you're buying high, right? Depending on which direction you want to take. So in that specific video, I was talking about the technical analysis, the pullback, and then of course referencing to the entry, right? So if you haven't watched that video, you can watch that first so that you have an understanding of what I spoke about. But I'll also link it up here on top. But essentially in that video, I was breaking down this, right? So the anatomy of the candlestick, right? So that you can have an understanding of why we specifically use the open. If we're looking to buy, we want price to be below the open. If we're looking to sell, we want price to be above the open, right? So, and the reasons why. So I explained that in that video. But for today's video, we'll be moving on with our sequence, and we'll be focusing primarily on the Forex carry trade as well as the Forex sentiment. Now we've moved from executing the trade, which is buy low, sell high, to now how do you actually manage the trade, right? Forex carry trade, I'd say it's still within the context of executing the position, because you need to know that beforehand. By Forex carry trade, if you don't know what that means, I'll also link the video up there which explains fundamental. I think I titled that video the easiest and quickest way to learn and understand fundamentals. If you watch that video there, you'll be able to have an understanding of what the carry trade actually is, right? So in that sense, now we are going to focus on these two aspects, Forex carry trade as well as the Forex sentiment, right? So we are obviously going to go into the chart. I'm not going to start any lesson from scratch today because we are continuing from where we left off and reviewing the positions that I had showed you guys when I was teaching this concept, right? So let us go into the chart so that we can actually review the concepts, right? So this is one of the trades that I actually had, of which it is AUD NZD. So my position that I showed you guys, that one was stopped out at a negative, and then I've entered another position because the entry was still valid for me to re-enter. So I entered another position here, as you can see on AUD NZD, right? And then let us look at the Forex sentiment, not Forex sentiment, but Forex carry trade, to see if whether are we getting a positive interest or a positive swap for actually selling this position. So as you can see, when it comes to AUD NZD, swap long it's a negative, swap short it's a positive. So we are getting a positive interest for holding this position short, right? And then the second position we are going to look at is AUD CHF, which we also reviewed last week, and I showed you guys when I had entered around the lows here. So it is pushing higher at this point, and for it as well we need to check if whether are we getting a positive swap, right? So if you can see here, swap long 0.234, I am getting a positive swap payment. So the more I hold this trade, and one of the reasons why I'm comfortable holding this trade, because besides the fact that I understand the fundamental story behind it, but because I'm also getting a positive interest payment every single night I'm holding this trade. So I've been holding this trade from last week, and my broker has been paying me since last week, right? And remember guys, when it comes to the Forex carry trade, it's about understanding interest rates. Right here I'm trading the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. Australian dollar has interest rates of 4.35%, whereas the Swiss franc has interest rates of 1.75%, right? So you can definitely see the difference there if I'm buying Australia against the Swiss franc, right? So we have AUD CHF, and then the next trade is NZD CHF, for which it's also slightly pushing in our direction. Let us see if we are getting a positive carry trade for NZD CHF. As you can see, swap long 0.398 pips, swap short negative. So if you are buying, you are getting paid, and I've been holding this trade since last week, so I am getting paid in as much as it's moving in my direction, which means that I'm earning pips the more it moves in my direction. And then of course I'm definitely getting that interest payment every single night from the broker, right? And then the next position we'll be looking at is NZD JPY, which is also, I'd say, fairly around my entry point. And then if you look at the carry trade as well, NZD JPY swap long 0.75, swap short -1. Why do we have a positive interest payment if we're buying NZD JPY? Simple. New Zealand dollar has interest rates of 5.5%, whereas the Japanese yen has interest rates of negative 0.1%, which is why we are getting a swap that is a positive swap that is greater compared to NZD CHF, because there is a bigger interest rate spread between New Zealand and the Japanese yen in terms of interest rates. So I am also getting paid for holding, and that is why I am still comfortably holding the position. And then if we go into CAT JPY actually got stopped out from the position that I was holding last week, because it was on this candle here, if you can also see. So this was my re-entry, my buy limit. Unfortunately it wasn't triggered, so the market just pushed further without me, but it's fine. But for the purpose of this video, we'll also look at the carry trade as well. So if we look at the carry trade, so you can see CAT JPY 0.837, and then of course positive swap if you are holding long positions. I'm not holding a long position here anymore. I got stopped out at a loss on CAT JPY as well as AUD NZD. That's transparency right there, right? And then last trade in terms of currencies, we have GBP JPY, right? Of course also holding, and as you can see it did push higher during the beginning of the week, and then it's sort of pulling back right now, but I'm still comfortably holding. I'm in no rush. Why am I in no rush? Because I know that as I'm holding this trade, my swap payment, positive swap payment, 1.62 pips. This one pays quite well, right? 1.62 pips. And then swap short is definitely negative. So since last week, because I've been holding this trade since last week, every single night the broker pays me a positive swap or a positive interest. So I'm actually being incentivized. This is an incentive for being on the right side of interest rates. Remember, as traders, we are also investors, right? As financial market participants, we are actually investors, right? So you should also think of trading in that standpoint. And then the last trade that I also want to look at, which I actually forgot to share in the video from last week, also using the same methodology, adopting the same methodology, fundamental reasons behind this buy trade. This is silver. Guys. You can see XAG USD. This is silver, and of course this is the weekly time frame. As you can see, if I'm going to do a quick refresher of what we studied last week, this was the open, right, of this sorry guys, the open should be here. This was the open of this candle, and price pushed lower, came back into a level of demand, and then I got my entry on the lower time frame and I bought, and I've been holding since. Unfortunately, yeah, since it's a precious metal against the dollar, and the precious metal does not give any interest, unlike currencies, I'm getting charged a negative swap, but either way it's flying in my direction, so I'm comfortable holding. And as you can see, my lot size is now 0.15. I was trading at 0.30, and then once I closed today, once it got to this level, because it was my first take profit level, then I closed at I closed half of my position, right? And then of course I'm gonna leave the remainder to run. If you can see here, we're looking at 183 pips, right? And my stop loss was obviously around, it was around here, yeah, it was around 20, yeah, it was around 20 pips. My stop loss was around 20 pips, right? And we're looking at 180 pips move, right? So that is what I'm always talking about, guys. We're looking for that low risk, high reward trade. We are always trying to find those trades, locate those trades, and trade in that direction based on fundamentals, and then we hold until fundamentals actually show us that we should consider maybe closing our position, right? So I just wanted to give you guys an update on that front, that once we have actually identified our pullbacks and our entries, then we should also have an understanding of the forex carry trade, because we need to be incentivized, we need to be motivated to hold our positions while we wait for our trade to move in our direction. We need to be incentivized for being patient enough to hold the trade and allow it to move in your direction, right? So this is just what I wanted to cover with you guys in this video. And also lastly, forex sentiment. Let us actually go to the forex sentiment for the trades that we've taken. So CAT JPY, even though I'm not in any position, but we also look at it. CAT JPY, and if you understand, if you look at this and you can just pause the video and read this here. But if you wanna watch the video where I explain this further, you can check out the video that I'll have tagged up on top here. I think it's the one that I titled but it speaks about technical analysis, but I'll tag it up here, right? But I explain this in further detail. But essentially, this is a forex sentiment, and we understand that the majority of retail traders are wrong. So if the majority is in a certain direction, then price generally moves in the opposite direction, right? So as you can see, CAT JPY majority short. Which other JPY? Okay, we also have NZD JPY. So let us see NZD JPY. So we can see NZD JPY 74% is long. So in this particular trade, NZD JPY, I wouldn't be expecting it to move in my direction. Like you saw, I even said it's still around my entry, but of course I'll be holding. Why? Because the broker is giving me, or is paying me, a positive interest for actually holding the position, right? So I will be holding, but I'm not anticipating the trade to move in my direction yet, because majority is also buying, right? And then if we go on to the next one, so GBP JPY. So this is how I actually manage my trades, right? So I check the forex sentiment, and then I'm checking whether should I be expecting the trade to move in my direction. As you can see, GBP JPY 77% are selling, right? And we are in a buy position. So in that case, I am confident that GBP JPY should push higher, and that is what we saw beginning of the week. GBP JPY moved higher the most, right? Or it pushed higher the most amongst all the other trades, right? So this is how I actually manage my trades in real time, right? And then if we look at another one, we have we actually have NZD CHF, right? We actually have NZD CHF, because this also keeps me in check if whether am I being impatient with my position, or should I still be patient and wait a bit more, right? So this is what I essentially use. As you can see, NZD CHF 66% are actually selling, and price is pushing higher. So that this also gives me confidence that the position should push higher in my favor, right? If the tables were turned like NZD JPY, then there is no need for me to expect price to move. So even if I'm checking my let's say my trades during the day, and I'm looking at the forex sentiment and it's showing me that majority is buying NZD JPY, then I'm not worried if I see that NZD JPY is not moving. All the other positions are moving, but NZD JPY is not moving. Why? Because I'm using the forex sentiment to manage my trade, but most importantly, manage my emotions, right? And then the next trade that we have is AUD CHF, right? So let's check out AUD CHF. Let us see. 53% are selling AUD CHF, still below 60. So in this one, I'm also confident that it will push higher in my direction, because majority is essentially selling in this case, right? And then so the next one is AUD NZD, as you can see, the last one, and you can see here that majority is also selling. I am also selling, so I am not expecting my trade to go in my direction at the moment, because majority is what? Majority is selling until we start seeing positions reduce, where majority maybe is moving to buying, sorry. Then that is when I'll be confident that the trade will actually move in my direction. So this is how I actually use the forex sentiment to keep myself in check. We can also check silver, because they do offer forex sentiment for silver as well as gold, right? So let us check silver. And then as you can see, when it comes to silver, majority is actually selling, and that is why prices are pushing higher, and I've been confident in terms of holding, and eventually I've managed to book some profits from that position on silver, right? My buy trade on silver, right? So this is essentially how I actually use both these features, or these Forex sentiment tool, as well as the Forex carry trade, to help me manage my positions, manage my emotions. Because if I'm getting paid a positive interest based on the Forex carry trade, then I'm comfortable to hold my position. If I'm also checking the Forex sentiment and I'm seeing that majority is in the opposite direction to me, then I'm confident for the trade to move in my direction. If I'm in the same direction as the majority, then I am not troubled, or I do not close my trade prematurely, if because just because I understand that majority is also in the same direction as me, so price shouldn't be moving in my favor, right? So this is essentially how I use this in real time, and I just wanted to share this with you guys after I had explained how to actually take your entry. So now once you're in your trade, what is the next step? Use the Forex sentiment to manage your position, because from there you have no control in terms of what happens next. The only control you have is executing your trade and closing your trade. For me, I don't like closing my trades prematurely. Once I've opened a position, I allow the market to do what it needs to do. That's why I have a stop loss, that's why I have a take profit, and then I just manage my positions by focusing on the Forex sentiment, keeping myself up to date with the fundamental analysis, so that I may know if what is happening, should I continue holding, or maybe the fundamentals are now changing based from what they were when I actually entered the position, right? So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And of course, as always, if you found value from this video and you learned something, share it with someone, like the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not yet subscribed, and also turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified when I do upload another video, guys. And as always, see you in the next video.